science experiment gone wrong.
Let me ask you this, Pierre. Who's the best hockey player in the league right now?
Evgeny Malkin.
Really? I see. I have no idea about that. But I mean, it's the big two aren't the big two anymore, huh?
Well,
I mean, Sid's always hurt. I understand that.
Sid, and major concussion.
And Ovechkin's. So is that going to be permanent for him? Is this something he's going to be living with his whole life? Or is this going to be a problem for the rest of his career?
I don't know about that. I mean, that would be speculative by me, but obviously.
But it's a big issue, right? It's a big issue. And Ovechkin's not the same guy anymore, right?
No, he looks a step slow, Mike. I don't know if it's a conditioning thing. I don't know if it's an injury thing, but he's definitely not as quick and he's not as robust as he used to be. But, Mike, it would behoove you and all hockey fans, and I know Ranger fans watch him, this Evgeny Malkin, he's on another planet, this guy. He's 6'4", 230 pounds. He skates like the wind. He can dominate any matchup situation. He can score off the rush, score off the cycle, score with his shot, score with his skills. He's an amazing, amazing talent.
So he has clearly, in your mind, become the guy, right?
He's become the best player in the league. Now, there's a kid down in Tampa.
Doesn't get a lot of attention, though, does he?
Starting to now. People realize what he's done with the Penguins with all the injuries they have. The fact that they're even in a playoff position is amazing. But there's a kid down in Tampa you got to watch too, Mike, Steven Stamkos. They won't make the playoffs this year, Tampa Bay, but Steven Stamkos is something special. He really is.
We're talking with Pierre McGuire. So would you say, Pierre, that if I gave you, I'll let you pick one team right now, all right? I'll tell you what, I'll give you one pick, or you can have the second pick and get two teams. Would you pick the Rangers and give me two teams, or would you take the two teams and give me the Rangers for winning the Cup?
I would take the Rangers.
You would?
I would.
You think this is going to be a Ranger year?
I really do. I am blown away by how well Lundqvist is playing. I'm just blown away by how deep McDonough has gotten in terms of his development. The same with Derek Stepan. And they've got the role players you have to have. The only caveat to everything I said on this, I just worry about key injuries because of their fearless shot blocking. That's the only thing I'm worried about with this team.
And would you give up something for a guy like Nash? Would you give up a real big prospect for a guy like Nash, or you wouldn't?
I would give up a prospect and a pick, but I wouldn't be messing with the integrity of my lineup that I have right now.
I wouldn't do that either. I wouldn't fool with the nucleus. I wouldn't fool with the nucleus. But if you could get it for a guy who's a draft pick or someone who's on the minor league team, would you do it?
Absolutely. That's totally different. But I'm not messing with the integrity of my roster.
How good is Nash?
Rick Nash has never been an 80-point guy, but he's been a huge goal scorer. He's won a Rocket Richard Trophy for the most goals in a season. And I think
would he make a difference?
Yes, he would help the power play significantly. I can tell you this. In the 2010 Olympics, when Canada won gold over the Americans, the big game for the Canadians was a quarterfinal game against Russia. Mike Babcock was the head coach of the Detroit Red Wings. What saved Canada in that game and really helped them steamroll the Russians, they put together a line of Mike Richards, who was playing for Philadelphia then, Jonathan Toews, who still plays for Chicago and is their captain, and Rick Nash. That line dominated, not just offensively, but physically and skating-wise against the Russians, and they basically body slammed them into submission. Canada totally embarrassed the Russians. That was the line that did it, and Nash was a huge part of that line. Rick Nash can be a big-time, big-game player. He just needs to be in the right situation. I would love to see Rick Nash playing with Brad Richards in New York. It would be a phenomenal thing to see, but I would never mess with the integrity of the established lineup the Rangers have now.
We're talking with Pierre McGuire. So here's what you're saying. The Rangers are the favorites in the East, Detroit in the West. The sleeper in the East is who? Boston?
Well, I don't call him a sleeper.
Okay, so who's the next team? Who's a sleeper? Who's a sleeper in the East?
Pittsburgh's a lot better than people think.
So there your sleeper. Okay.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's a lot better.
And your sleeper in the West is Nashville?
Nashville is dangerous. St. Louis and Nashville, if I could pick two, St. Louis and Nashville, they're going to be a bear to handle, both those teams.
You know, for all the mess that St. Louis has had financially, they're playing pretty well on the ice, aren't they?
They really are. John Davidson's done a great job.
Because they've had a lot of financial problems, St. Louis.
Huge.
Yeah, but I mean, the whole thing with Dave and Checketts, the whole thing it was a mess and everything. But I mean, on the ice, they're playing really well.
Well, because of organizational skills and management decisions and good drafting. And if you look at most of their roster, they're homegrown players, whether it's a T.J. Oshie or a David Backes or a David Perron or an Alex Pietrangelo. I mean, they've done some phenomenal things in terms of drafting and developing. But the big thing to me is they are going to lose. A season ago, they lost about $26 million, Mike. This year, they're only going to lose about 11 to $12 million.
All right, so they're doing better. And J.D., you think's done well there?
fantastically well. John's done a great job stabilizing the situation. Doug Armstrong is his chief lieutenant. He's a general manager. He's done an awesome job. But the big thing is hiring Ken Hitchcock, who's got more of a football mentality than a hockey mentality. Hitchcock's done a fantastic job coaching that team.
Thanks, Pierre. We'll be watching Sunday. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic visiting with you, Mike. And Mike, by the way,
yes, sir.
I'm so happy the Giants won the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, so we. So thank you, Pierre.
I know, I heard you.
I'm glad you are. Thank you, Pierre. I hope we'll have you back to talk about the Rangers as we get closer to the playoffs, okay?
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate
All right.
it. Take care.